Welcome to Judge of Ghana TV. Akwa Baba, Judge of Ghana TV. So, in today's episode, we listen to the press conference, an abridged version of the press conference of Alan John Kwadwo Kyerematen, which took place on Sunday, the 29th of September 2024, late in the afternoon. And so Alan explains um, the help he's giving, the legal assistance he's giving to the protesters of the StopGalamseyNow Democracy Hub demonstration that took place a week or so ago. And then he also talks briefly about the fact that he supports the protesters 100% and Galamsey needs to stop now. He outlines his 10-point plan in detail in this press conference. That is why it's necessary to give you, it's quite a long video, but it will give you insight. So those who are interested to go into the elections with full information, as I've said in my previous episodes, Alan is the only candidate on the presidential ballot paper who has a comprehensive plan of how to eradicate galamsey from Ghana. If you are a human being who wants to live long and your children and your children's children, your ancestors, those who are to come, you want them to live long. And you must be wise and vote for Alan John Kwadwo Kyerematen because the National Democratic Congress and the new Patriotic Party, they don't have any plans to stop galamsey. They don't even know how to put together a plan to stop galamsey. If they could, they would. They've had 32 years, 16 years apiece to do this. Alan John Kwadwo Kyerematen has given us in detail his 10-point plan. Please listen and vote wisely on 7 December 2024. Alan is a Ghana first person. He's talking about unity government and Ghana first. That's what Ghana needs going forward. All this partisan politics has failed Ghana. The new Patriotic Party and the National Democratic Congress, they have failed Ghana. When are Ghanaians going to get into our head? This duopoly is not taking Ghana anywhere. It is taking Ghana in reverse gear. And they've already crashed us into the gutter. And if we persist with these two parties, all they're going to do is come and do the same thing that NPP did. NDC would do it. It's just changing. It's like changing clothes. The mindset hasn't changed. So what are you expecting? You can't keep doing the same thing, voting for the duopoly over 23, 22, 32 years and expect anything to change. There's a saying, you can't keep doing the same thing and expect a different result. Ghana fui anyansafo no wahi o. Muntumi nkɔ so enye deɛ moyɛ no a sɛ mobɛnya different result. Nti sɛ yɛ vote ma NDC ne NPP a ɛmboa Ghana. Alan ɔyɛ ne press conference Sunday 29th of September 2024 ɛna wakyerɛ ne detailed 10-point plan a ɔde bɛboa Ghana na yɛafa yɛn ntoma pa efra. Yɛmvo nti ma Alan o, ɛnyɛ sɛ yɛbɛbrɛ. Ɛbɛyɛ 4 more wasted years, 4 more years of hardship. Nti muntie de Alan ka no. First, yɛbɛtie ne twi na afei de yɛatie brɔfo no ne other things a wɔkaeɛ. Brɔfo no deɛ na ɔka nneɛma pii. Nti muntie na momfa adwen na monvote for AFRAFRANTO Movement for Change, Butterfly, Alan John Kwadwo Kyerematen, number 13, ɛwɔ ballot paper no so. Ɔne last person on the ballot paper, ɔwɔ aseɛ hɔ. Why? Ɛno na ɛbɛboa Ghana, ɛbɛma Ghana ɛnya mpuntuo. Na me de bi ameka asɛm. So wopɛ sɛ wobɛhu deɛ nipa bɛyɛ ɛkyena a, hwɛ deɛ ɔyɛɛyɛ ɛnra. Hwɛ deɛ NPP ne NDC ɔmo ayɛ yɛn. Ɔmo a na ɔmo atu galamsey no o. Ɛnɛ a sɛ NPDC ba nɛ a, ɛno asɛ yɛasɔpe. And kingpins and queenpins no, ɔmo bɛyɛ NDC for. Sese yɛwɔ kingpins ne queenpins wɔ galamsey, ɔmo yɛ NPP mfoɔ. Enti ɛmboa yɛ. Na Alan deɛ wɔsɛ ɔbɛbane galamsey. Yɛn so nkwa yɛ biribiara. Without life you have nothing. The most important thing in life is life itself. So obi sɛ ɔbɛma wo nkwa, na deɛ obi nso sɛ ɔbɛ continue galamsey ɛbɛkum wo a, hwan na wobɛ vote for? NDC ne NPP. Ɔmo ntumi ntwerɛ wɔ krataa so. Kwan bɛfa so a ɔmo bɛbɔ yɛn nsuo ho ban. Because obi ntumi ntwerɛ adeɛ na kyerɛ sɛ ɔnni intention sɛ ɔbɛyɛ. Nti wo vote no a, you vote for NDC and NPP at your own risk. Ɛmboa Ghana. Wopɛ sɛ mpuntuo ba Ghana. And Alan deɛ watwerɛ ne 10-point plan a ɔde bɛdili eradicate galamsey. Ɛna ɛwɔ sɛ yɛn holding no to that. Sɛ wanyɛ a, yɛntwe n'abasa ne ɛsrɛ ɛfa ho. Ɛna yɛn nso yɛbɛtwe n'abasa ne ɛsrɛ. Cause yɛpɛ Ghana mpuntuo, Ghana first. Nti muntie de Alan ka no. Sɛ bibi wɔ hɔ a, mɛsan aba back na mabɛka. Sɛ bibi ani hɔ so a, I'll see you in the next episode. If you like this type of content, like, share, subscribe. Medamase, Yamin Shiremuna. God bless our homeland, Ghana. Bye for now.
Abusuafo, ɛm sɛ kakra me kan yɛ no. Sɛ meka sɛ mebɔ no tɔfa wɔ ɛdi kan ɛm sɛ deɛ akɔ so na wɔtwe a ɛtwa mu yi a mmeranteɛ ne nketesia a wɔn te atua sɛ deɛ ɛkɔ so wɔ man mu a yɛfrɛ no galamsey no ɛyɛ adeɛ a ɛdi Ghana nya na ɛkwan biara so no ɛyɛ sɛ mpanimfoɔ a ɛhwɛ ɔman no so no ka baabi a na nka ɛsɛ nka nɛ yɛkɛ wɔn atumi ama galamsey no ase atu na sɛ yɛntumi nyɛ saa adeɛ a na ɛkwan biara so no ɛyɛ mmabunu no a wɔn daakye ana nsuo a ɛsɛe ne nsase a ɛsɛe no ɛbɛha wɔn no dodoɔ no wɔ kwan sɛ wohwɛ mmerapɔn a ɛda yɛn man no yɛ constitution a wɔn wɔ ɛho kwan sɛ wɔbɛte atua ayɛ eyi ama wɔn a ebu man no ɛho sɛ ɛyɛ nibiri asɛm na ne kakra ɛha mi ni sɛ sɛ wɔn wɔ ho kwan mmerakwan so deɛ na sɛ wɔn ayɛ demonstration a na yɛkyekyɛ yɛde wɔn kɔ court na yɛbɔ wɔn na deɛ edi mu paa ne fapem charges yɛde abɔ wɔn ne fapem paa ne sɛ demonstration a wɔn yɛɛyɛ no ɛto mmra anaa ɛyɛ unlawful sɛbi ti aseɛ bi anim ebi sɛ wɔayɛ demonstration nna mmiɛnsa a polisifoɔ ɛne wo adi nkitaho eduru baabi koraa no sɛ da a edi kan na wɔn yɛ demonstration no koraa sɛ wɔn ne polisifoɔ yi ɛnum ti edi nkitaho edi nkɔmɔ wɔdeɛ na afei deɛ yɛkyekye wɔn ka sɛ adeɛ no ɛyɛ unlawful anaasɛ ɛtia mmara. Nti deɛ me m'adwene yɛ me sɛ kyi a yɛakye wɔn no ɛtia mmara, na kwan biara so no ɛyɛ sɛ aban a ɛyɛ attorney general, panyin a odi aban anim a ɛde bɔ Ghana yɛ mmara no ho no, ɛyɛ sɛ kwan biara so no wɔhwɛ na wɔn a yɛakye wɔn agu no mu, mmabunu a yɛakye wɔn agu no mu, yɛma wɔn fa ho di, yɛyi wɔn. Na ɛyɛ gyagyefoɔ a yɛde mmeranteɛ yi ne mmabaawa yi baa wɔn anim sɛ yɛakye wɔn, yɛamo charge, na sɛbi mmara mu yɛbɛka no sɛ wei ɛyɛ minor offence, misdemeanor a nka wɔn wɔ kwan sɛ ɛsɛ yɛma wɔn bail, ankɔba no saa ama sɛ yɛde wɔn baa gyagye yɛaremande wɔn koraa no koraa mmara no kyerɛ sɛ yɛtumi ma wɔn bail ma no yɛyie. Na obi kɔ demonstration a ɛyɛ ne constitutional right, na wokyi no gum na wose woma ne bail, na wonyɛ sɛ wɔn yɛ security risk. Mmara no kyerɛ sɛ wopɛ sɛ woma wɔn bail a ɛkwan da hɔ. Sɛ wonim ɛkwan a wɔbɛfa so a wɔbɛtumi ama wofrɛ wɔn court wɔbɛba a, na sɛ ɛnyɛ biribi a wowɔ ngyinasoɔ bi sɛ wogyae wɔn yi wɔbɛdwane a, aneɛ mmara no kwan biara nni hɔ a ɛyɛ sɛ agyagyefoɔ no wɔka sɛ ɛsɛ yɛde wɔn to remand for 2 weeks. Nti ɛno no ɛtia mmara, na wohwɛ a na ɛyɛ sɛ oni bɛka sɛ ɛkɔ so no ɛyɛ politically motivated. Wohwɛ sɛbi judge no koraa no in refusing the bail a wɔntumi aka nsɛm biara wɔ mmara mu deɛ nti a wogyina so a woma wɔn bail. Nti ɛno na ɛdi kan, na attorney general medeɛ deɛ mesrɛ ne sɛ onim mmara na onim sɛ deɛ ɛkɔ so na ɛnyɛ. Nti he must make sure sɛ alɔyafoɔ a ɛgyina hɔ ama mmabunu yi sɛ wɔn de application ba for bail a ma wɔn nyɛ sɛ wɔn mpere so. Nso ɔno anim sɛ ɛtia mmara ɛna ɛtia yɛ constitution no nso so. Na wei nyinaa no deɛ ɛkɔ so deɛ ha wɔ mu paa ne sɛ asɛ ɔman yi biribi kɔ so na ɛnya a, na sɛ nnipa no ka a, na wɔn a ɛte aban mu a wɔn ɛsɛ nka wɔn no ɛsesa wɔn de wɔn yɛ no a, na afei ɛno yɛafa ho afuo na yɛtaataa nkurɔfoɔ. Na deɛ ha me ne sɛ asɛ ehu bi abɛhyɛ Ghanafoɔ mu a ebi mba da sɛbi o medeɛ mehyɛ sɛ meyɛ politics. Ɛno na mebisa sɛ obi wɔ koraa womfa aban ho hwee. So still nipa no suro sɛ yɛbɛka adwene. Na me deɛ ha me ne sɛ nipa biara no wotena hɔ na saa ehu ne esuo no dundum wɔ a na sɛ wɔwie yɛ ano no. Nti yɛnhwɛ ne yie, na yɛkɔ so saa no a titiri yɛba abɛto aba yi, si yɛde ehu na ɛkɔ akɔto aba yi di a sani ɛnyɛ papa. Nti asɛm wei ɛna akɔ pie ama seesei yɛadwene yɛ akɔba so sɛ aban adwuma ɛsɛ ɔmo yɛ ɔmo ntumi nyɛ. Ɛnyɛ NPP nko asɛm, NPP ne NDC nyinaa asɛm. Ana mmabunu no ate agyina sɛ yɛmpene na yɛnhwɛ ne yɛnsiesie nsɛm. Sɛ wokɔ deɛ si wɔ Nigeria ne Kenya, ɛduru baabi no na afei agye nsɛm. Nea deɛ mmabunu koraa mpo deɛ, wɔmatumi anya abotiraa ma atenam adwuma nni hɔ. Sɛ adwuma wɔ hɔ a, sɛbesɛbe biara nyɛ obiara na bɛkɔ akɔyɛ ɛde ne kra anaasɛ wɔbɛkɔ akɔyɛ sɛ ɔyɛ galamsey. Wohwɛ circumstances a sɛ woyɛ galamsey a wokɔ mu no ne nyinaa no ɛyɛ deɛ boni bɛka sɛ nneɛma aban no yɛ nkɔ yie, obiara nim sɛ nkɔ yie. Nti yɛnhwɛ na ɛyɛ NDC ne NPP kuo mmienu no sɛ ɔmo nsa akɔpere tumi bi a Ghanafoɔ mombie mo ani na monto ntia wɔn sɛdeɛ ɛbɛyɛ a nhyehyɛe foforɔ bɛtumi aba. Na me kuo a medi anim no ɛyɛ movement for change. Menyɛ sɛ mabɛgyina kɛkɛ na mese mmabunu no wɔn di kan na metaa wɔn akyi. Me plan a mede aba no ɛyɛ Great Transformational Plan a meka sɛ Alan bɛyɛ president a mede nsesaeɛ sononko bi bɛba ama Ghana akɔ n'anim, adwuma bɛba. Na ɛhia mpo sɛ biara pere sɛ ɔyɛ galamsey. Bɛno akyi no koraa no mede nhyehyɛeɛ bi aba a ɛyɛ galamsey koraa no yɛbɛtumi adi ho dwuma a ɛnyɛ problem wɔ Ghana ha bio. Mede ne nyinaa tintim krataa so a ɛwɔ Great Transformational Plan. Ɛyɛ apɔapɔ nko ara ɛdu 10-point plan to deal with galamsey a maka ho ase. Ɛno akyi nso so no maka sɛ ɛnyɛ galamsey nko. Sɛ wohwɛ a yɛnyanya nneɛma bebree ɛka gold no ho a ɛm sɛ no koraa na ɛwɔ price koraa kyɛn gold. Sɛ yɛanhwɛ yie na yɛampɛ kwan a yɛbɛsiesie kwan a yɛfa so a yɛhwɛ nyame abɔdeɛ a ɔde ama yɛn natural resources so a ɛbɛduru baabi no deɛ ɛkɔ so yɛbɛkyɛn galamsey no koraa. Ɛti nyinaa no mede m'adwene aba kwan a bɛfa so a bɛsiesie. Ɛnti deɛ meka na mede m'asɛm no aba awie ne sɛ yɛmmabunu no yɛsi akyea nso ɛmmui. Mmara kwan nso mudi bem na medeɛ metaa mo akyi na mɛkɔ so abɔ mo kyidɔm kɔpem sɛ mmara no bɛyɛ adwuma na yɛyi mu afiri fiase. Na afei nso so no deɛ nti ɛma a mote twea no a mokɔɔ demonstration no aban nso so ɛbɛtumi akyerɛ kwan a ɔbɛfa so a ɔbɛsiesie nneɛma no. Na yɛbɔ mpaeɛ nso so ma mo na medeɛ mewɔ gyidie sɛ Ghanafoɔ nyinaa de ɔma no atom bi deɛ ɔmapanyini ne ne mpanimfoɔ no ɔmbɛhwɛ wɔn asɛm aka. So wɔn ntumi nya a wɔmma kwan na movement for change led by Alan Kyerematen mmra na mmra sesa nneɛma ma Ghana. Meda mo ase.
Folks, Alan spoke in English first, but I've changed the order. I've put the tree um, version or his tree words first. So now we're going to listen to the press conference supporting the Democracy Hub protesters who have been remanded for 2 weeks in cells in Ghana. We're going to listen to Alan's words concerning that and any other thing
Excellency
in
Alan
English.
Kwadwo Kyerematen.
Take a listen.
Thank you very much, my colleague and brother, Kwame Osudanso. Comrade leaders of the Alliance for Revolutionary Change and leadership of the movement for change, invited guests, ladies and gentlemen, and our friends from the media, fellow countrymen and women. Today, I join many Ghanaians from all over the country in expressing my utter dismay and condemnation for the continued incarceration of several young Ghanaians belonging to the Democracy Hub who took to the streets a few days ago to express their anger and frustration at the government's inability to deal drastically and substantively with the challenge of illegal mining, otherwise referred to as galamsey. The protests have exposed the failure of the current NPP government and the predecessor government of the NDC that the demonstrations would take place and did not take judicial steps to abort it or to stop it. In any event, it is beyond my wildest imagination to believe how the Ghana Police Service could have supervised a demonstration for a continuous period of 3 days and thereafter bring charges of unlawful assembly. Fellow countrymen and women, in spite of these developments, however, I must say, to the credit of the Ghana Police Service and the contingent of police officers who had oversight responsibility for the demonstration, that they did indeed act professionally and with decency in the management and control of the crowd of protesters over the 3 days of the protest. Regrettably, the poor post arrest management of the protesters by the police has been both unlawful and unconstitutional, to the extent denying those arrested access to legal counsel, access to their family members, and access to essential medication, food, and water. Furthermore, the refusal of the presiding judges to admit the accused persons to bail in a criminal case in the nature of a misdemeanor, in my very respectful opinion, is an abuse of judicial discretion on the firm grounds of constitutional law, human rights, judicial practice, and decided cases. Fellow countrymen and women, let me reiterate my earlier submission that the continued detention of the accused young persons is both unlawful and unconstitutional. Indeed, it is also a sad reflection of an emerging trend in our body politic in Ghana of intolerance for dissenting views. Equally, equally concerning is the culture of fear and sycophancy that is gradually permeating our social fabric. This is particularly troubling as we approach the general elections this year, an election which, without doubt, will be a watershed and defining election in the political history of our country. Fellow countrymen and women, let it not be said that our generation stood by unconcerned as the dark clouds of chaos and anarchy begin to gather in our beloved country. Galamsey constitutes an existential threat for Ghana. As you travel the length and breadth of this country, you'll be amazed at the extensive destruction of water bodies, forest reserves, and farmland from colonial times through to independence and the immediate post independence era. Ghanaians have been engaged in small scale mining in mining communities without a threat to the environment, land, and river bodies. Regrettably, however, in the last 20 odd years, the ravages of Galamsey and its negative impact on the environment have been both alarming and incrementally retrogressive. In my considered opinion, this development is symptomatic of much deeper underlying systemic problems of economic mismanagement leading to joblessness over a long period of time. It's also clear, it is also a clear reflection of policy failure and leadership on the part of both the NPP and the NDC over the last 2 decades. Unfortunately, in the recently published manifestos of the two dominant political parties, they have demonstrated that they neither have the competence, desire, interest, or political will to deal with the problem of Galamsey. Indeed, recent pronouncements and statements by higher level officials of both parties clearly attest to this observation. The movement for change and the Alliance for Revolution and privileged to lead, on the other hand, has outlined a forward-looking, comprehensive 10-point policy blueprint to deal substantively with the challenge of Galamsey, which I would like to present as follows. Number one, impose a complete ban for a period of 1 year on all small-scale and community mining activities, whether legal or illegal. Two, demobilization of all machinery, equipment, including earth-moving equipment, and any form of machinery currently in use in respect of small-scale and community mining, legal or illegal. Three, inventorization, storage, and preservation of all demobilized machinery and equipment by the military, especially the 48 Engineers Regiment. All such machinery and equipment shall be properly identified in respect of their ownership, location prior to demobilization, and the full description of the state and condition of the said items before demobilization. Four, a complete restoration of all river bodies to reduce current turbidity levels within a period of 1 year while the ban is in force. This exercise will be coordinated by the Water Resources Commission, the Environmental Protection Agency, and other relevant regulatory institutions, as well as the military. Five, complete restoration and regeneration of all degraded land sites within the 1 year period of the ban. This exercise will involve plantation development and tree planting on the degraded sites and will be coordinated by the Forestry Commission and other relevant public sector institutions. Six, the cancellation of all small-scale and community mining licenses issued within the last 15 years. The cancellation will be followed by a comprehensive and complete audit of all small-scale and community mining licenses issued within this period. This audit exercise will interrogate the following matters. A, the issuing authority of the license. B, conditions associated with the grant of the license, including but not limited to the payment of license fees, compliance with technical requirements, etc. Seven, the deployment of all young people previously engaged in Galamsey to actively participate in the plantation development exercise on degraded land sites as a livelihood empowerment initiative within the period of the 1 year ban. Eight, the establishment of new of a new Youth in Responsible Mining initiative, under which groups of young people previously engaged in galamsey will be supported by the government to establish youth-owned mining companies as private legal commercial entities. These companies will be provided with seed machinery and equipment and other facilities that will be required to operate a commercially viable mining company on a work and pay basis. These companies will also be provided with working capital at subsidized interest rates. In addition, the government will provide executive management personnel from the Ghana Executive Service Organization to support the management and operations of these youth-owned mining companies, whilst the young people would work as employees of their own companies. In addition to the above, the new youth-owned mining companies will be issued with new mining licenses and other licenses to enable them to operate legally and in an environmentally sustainable manner. 9, the establishment of a citizens mining protection rights group in each mining community who will act as the watchdogs for responsible mining. 10, the introduction of new legislation and regulations that will impose a complete ban on mining in river bodies and forest reserves. The sanctions regime associated with this new legislation and regulations would include life imprisonment for the violation of the provisions of the said legislation and regulations. Ladies and gentlemen, beyond this short-term plan, the Great Transformation Plan of the Movement for Change offers additional medium to long-term strategic interventions designed to deal with the management of our natural resources. These interventions include the following. 1, undertake a comprehensive review of all legislation and regulations in respect of the mandate, management, and operations of institutions in the natural resource sector. 2, based on the review exercise, consolidate institutions with overlapping mandates, clarify their regulatory functions, and establish a new regime for the optimization of benefits from our natural resources. 3, review all existing contracts in the natural resource sector with a view to optimizing benefits to the country and enhancing local content. 4, introduce new legislation and regulation that will significantly reduce the export of raw materials from our country in any form without a minimum of 60% value addition by the year 2030. 5, amend Article 2576 of the 1992 Constitution to establish traditional authorities as co-trustees with the president in respect of all mining rights in Ghana. And last but not the least, develop the Western region as the mineral resource processing hub for West Africa in the context of the African Continental Free Trade Area after and the growth of mineral commodity markets in sub-Saharan Africa. Fellow countrymen and women, in conclusion, I'd like to make a passionate appeal to the learned Attorney General and Minister of Justice, who is a fellow Santa Clausian and a young man himself, and therefore should strive to protect the legal rights of young people without compromising his professional integrity. My appeal to the Attorney General is to file an application for nolle prosequi, to terminate the criminal case, or at worst, not to oppose an application for bail or the application for the abridgment of the period for which the accused persons have been remanded in custody. To the young people of Ghana, I'd like you to know, particularly those who have been arrested, that you are the heroes today. You have endured the pain of living through the hardest of times in our country with no jobs and no hope for the future. But do not be dismayed. There's light at the end of the tunnel. Furthermore, do not be intimidated or be haunted by fear, but be inspired by the challenge of success. I stand solidly behind you. I will fight with you shoulder to shoulder, not only to deal aggressively with the challenge of Galamsey, but equally importantly, to fight to create a peaceful, prosperous, just, and united Ghana that will create a better and brighter future for all Ghanaians, particularly you, the young people. Together, we will win, and Ghana will rise again. God bless our homeland Ghana and make it great and strong. I thank you for the time. Excellent questions, but these questions are meant for those who are currently in office, in power in our country. Unfortunately, I cannot speak on behalf of the president. Yes, he did put his presidency on the line. It is true that there have been various attempts to deal with the problem of galamsey. But the question is, how did we get here in the first place? And why have we not been able to attack and deal decisively with the problem? My remarks, that is a combination of many factors. Part of it is the fact that for a sustained period of economic management, you can only expect that when there are no jobs, that people who find themselves, particularly in mining communities, have no option but to do what they are doing. But remember also that many of these young people have been recruited by people who are in power of authority, and in fact are using these young people and holding them hostage as agents for their own benefit and not for the benefit of the young people. And I'm violently against this practice. And I feel that if the government indeed has the political will to deal with galamsey, will be able to address it more substantively than they've done so far. That's my view, personal view on how far this government has gone. The second issue by my young nephew, as to the fact that people are expecting them to go to the mining communities to demonstrate. I agree with you. The policymakers are here in Accra, and you have every right to demonstrate in Accra to bring your concern to their attention. As I said, if it's a question of policy failure, then The government and the people in authority have no right in asking you to go to the mining communities. I'm solidly behind you. And to the extent that is possible, we support whatever you are doing to ensure that we bring an end to galamsey. Already, I have made arrangements for legal representation for many of those people who have been arrested. So I'm behind you.
I think your second question was whether or not His Excellency will be taking the demonstration, correct? I will on his behalf. Yes, that's a running mate. Full support.
To the first question in the second series, I believe that the movement for change and the alliance, the AFRAFRANTO, the alliance, is the only political entity that has comprehensively defined a policy solution for galamsey. I can't remember reading any policy statements in the manifestos of the NDC or the NPP about how they want to deal with galamsey. I'm sorry if they've done so. I have not seen it. And in actual fact, if you listen to some of the leaders of the two parties, they are encouraging the continuation of galamsey. That's exactly what I have heard. But I cannot answer for them. As I said, I'm joining hands with the majority of well-meaning Ghanaians who are determined to bring an end to galamsey in Ghana. And once we've done a comprehensive outline of our policy to deal with galamsey, then that itself provides a platform for you to monitor compliance if the people of Ghana vote us into office. Because once it is part of our plan, and remember, we have put forward a plan, not a manifesto. So you can track progress and you can hold us accountable to our policy recommendations. I think the second question was in reference to IPAC. Again, the movement for change and the Alliance for Revolutionary Change have issued a statement, public statement, in respect of our understanding of the matters arising from the current voters register. And indeed, I've written to the Electoral Commissioner and made very specific recommendations for resolving the matter under reference. First, I've asked the Electoral Commission to establish a technical working group with representatives from all the presidential candidates and, of course, the political parties to identify first specific challenges with the register and work collaboratively together to deal substantively with any infractions or any deficiencies in the register. I believe that this is a more comprehensive approach than even a forensic audit. Because if you ask for a forensic audit by independent committee, the Electoral Commission has the right to determine who that independent auditor is. But no independent auditor has the legal right to determine the nature and form of the electoral register that will be used for the general elections. I think it is only fair that those of us with this challenge of being voted into power, to spread money, but the ones who should be refining the voters register and not an auditor. And so I'm hoping that the electoral commissioner, the commission in their way would adopt my recommendations. So wait and see when we attend this meeting what the electoral commission is also proposing.
Father God, you're the judge of Ghana, take control of the steer.